let's rattle you through the papers at 8:39 this morning. We'll start with the Times. Quotes the Archbishop of York at the service yesterday, saying it's about the Queen, "You are still in the saddle." It's quite a nice turn of phrase, isn't it?
That's a bit weird.
I feel with these horsing analogies.
Yes, but it's sort of just yup. Yeah, I don't know. It was a good one, I suppose. Should we go on to the Express? We haven't moved on, have we?
Oh, there you go.
There's the Express. We give thanks, they said. So that's fairly straightforward.
The Mail describes the feud between the Cambridges and the Sussexes as painfully distant.
And Boris Johnson on the front page of the Eye tells the Tories, "Without me, you lose."
Gutted, say the Star, as dumped lovers learn that beer bellies are apparently not so sexy after all. People are getting...
I didn't think they needed a newspaper to tell them that.
No, they're getting dumped because they've got a beer belly. So it doesn't surprise me, in a way.
We are joined to review the newspapers this morning with former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, and writer and journalist Emma Wolfe. Welcome both. Dawn, tell us about the airport queues, because this is becoming more and more and more.
It's on a daily basis, isn't it? I mean, this is both in the Mirror and the Times today, and I'm sure it's in all the other newspapers as well. If you're going to try and escape the Jubilee weekend by flying abroad, don't, basically. Passengers are telling of biblical queues, which is an interesting turn of phrase. I don't remember airports or queues in the Bible, but there you go. Delays of up to 3 hours reported at Manchester and Bristol airports and 2 hours at Birmingham and Heathrow. And this comes as Ryanair boss Michael O'Leary has called for the army to be brought in. But that's our knee-jerk reaction to anything these days, is bring the army in, even though we don't appear to have that many army left. But also, this is interesting, that's why I picked the story. Jet2 boss Steve Heapy has been blaming other airlines for not anticipating a post-pandemic surge. Well, I mean, how can they not have seen it coming? And I think he's got a very good point here. He says, look, we were prepared. We've been hiring staff in the run-up for this, you know, people getting back to normal. But other airlines haven't. And, you know, British Airways laid off 10,000 staff, EasyJet 5,000 during the pandemic, despite having £574 million of furlough taxpayers' money. So, I mean, the airlines are at fault here because they should have planned for this. And as usual, it's the passengers that are suffering.
And some airlines, he's quite right, have been able to pull it off and some haven't.
Well, I flew out with EasyJet a couple of weeks ago and I mean, it was fine, but they changed the plane, so 36 people who were booked in for that flight did not get on. Flew back with Jet2, and there was no problems at all.
Exactly. Jet2, incredibly impressive, I have to say. I flew out with them, and not only were the planes not cancelled and everything, but there were people around you could talk to, and they were ushering you through all of the past the desks and everything, and they had a big smile on their faces. And even on, I'm sounding like I'm doing an advert for them now, and I'm really not. Even on board, they were pleasant and lovely. I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I was.
The cabin crew were really nice on my flight.
They were really lovely. Can't tell you. So some impressed, and some have really badly let us down.
The stress of, you know, we all need a holiday. For many families, it's the first time they've been able to go abroad for a couple of years. Getting to the airport and being told by text that your flight has been cancelled.
And then not being able to find a human being to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just,
and seeing these terrible long queues.
Yeah.
Enough to tear your hair out.
It really is. It's such a shame, because we all do need a holiday.
We do. Though, well, we can't complain. We've just come back.
I could do with another.
To the Times, Emma, looking at the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, well, we've heard lots about the Mediterranean diet, but a new clinical trial published by the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has found that Mediterranean diet can really help young men specifically with depression. And we know that suicide is the leading cause of death amongst young men, very sadly, in the UK. So this is things like fresh fruit, vegetables, fish and grains has a really beneficial effect on mental health for young men. Specifically, it releases serotonin in the gut. It helps the gut to release serotonin, which is obviously the feel-good hormone. And it's really good news, and it's, you know, it's delicious anyway. I mean, who doesn't like olive oil and wine and lovely bread and fresh fish and fruit and all of that? So.
Except that you do fear we may have bred a generation of young men who like a takeaway too much. And maybe don't think, maybe they should be thinking of their Mediterranean.
But what always gets confusing with the Mediterranean diet, I find, is one of the key elements of it is the olive oil.
Olive oil and lots of wine and lots of siestas and lots of sunshine. I mean, they have fun in the Mediterranean.
But we're told we have too much oil. Too much oil in our diet.
But there's good fats and bad fats, aren't there? And we know that good fats are found in olive oil and things like that. And obviously saturated fats and butter and margarine are possibly not so good for you.
Oh well. There you go. Worth a try. Might have an olive later.
An olive. I think it's more cake and scones, surely, isn't it, for the rest of the weekend?
That's the trouble.
I never want to see a scone again as long as I live. I really
A bit more
don't.
stodge, and then we'll all get dumped by our partners.
Actually, I'm sorry, if someone dumps you because you've got a bit of a tummy,
I know,
they don't
it's
love
silly.
you very much.
Well, they don't love you, no.
A bit of a tummy's one thing, an enormous beer belly is another, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, more to couple?
Or you just stay single like me, and then you don't have to worry about a beer belly.
Quite right. Me too. Dawn, tell us about rats.
I love this story. It's quite tricky in the papers today to find a story that isn't about the Royals and the Platinum Jubilee. Understandable. So I've gone for the Sun, page 22 of the Sun, and these are rats being trained to help earthquake victims, and this is happening in Tanzania, by the way. But the lovely lady in charge of it is Dr. Donna. She's from Glasgow, and basically these rats are sent there with little rucksacks on their back and a little microphone to people that are trapped underneath the rubble of an earthquake to locate them, and then sort of like, so they can communicate. The people that are trapped communicate with the rescue teams on the surface. I think what a great idea.
It is fantastic.
It's quite astonishing. I mean, it's a fun story. They've got a really lovely little picture of a rat wearing
They're
a little...
meant to be intelligent.
Well, they are very intelligent rats, yeah.
So you can actually train them to do this.
You can train them to do it, and this is it's called Operation Hero Rat. And they've got a lovely picture of a little rat in a little rucksack. It's quite a big rat, actually.
You get a very bad rap under rats.
Yes.
I mean, they
They're
can
vermin.
spread it. Well, they're considered vermin, but so they are very intelligent.
And they're actually quite clean.
Yeah.
They are quite clean.
Pet rats are meant to be fantastic.
I like a pet rat, actually.
There you go. If you've got one, GBViews at
Well, they're
GBNEWS.uk.
looking around my dustbin half the time, so you're most
they?
welcome to, but they don't look very trained.
No, they won't be trained.
Maybe we'll
no.
try.
Well, maybe. See, if you've got lots of mess around your dustbin, so you've got to tidy it up. A bit more housework, Anne.
Oh,
Do you know the rats we had actually gnawed through the plastic of the wheelie bin to get
Oh,
Oh, blimey.
You see, housework is in the Star, Emma, and, well, what a surprise, women do more than men.
It is, and this is one of those polls, Stephen, that is no surprise to absolutely no surprise to members of the fairer sex, I would say. This poll finds that women are doing twice as much housework as men. So out of 80 average household jobs, women are doing about 56 of the household jobs, and the jobs that we're doing are things like...
That is a good headline, by the way.
Great.
If you're listening to us on the radio, the headline from the Daily Star is "Surely not." That's a good one.
It is. And the chores that we're doing are things like feeding the babies, grocery shopping, dusting and washing the floors. And the things that men like doing are chopping firewood, shoveling snow, changing the car oil, and their favourite job is shopping for treats for the kids. So those are the things they like helping with.
But those first three things only happen about twice a year.
Well, exactly.
Don't they?
Well, look,
They have to do much.
Wood these days, I'm sorry.
No, nobody chops wood. You only change the oil in the car very infrequently.
And you barely shovel snow.
And who shovels snow anymore?
Well, ladies, if you want
Hardly
to volunteer to shovel and clear the paths, feel free.
You're volunteering.
Well, I have to do it.
The council clear the paths most of the time. Men aren't really out there with their spades. I think they're choosing the jobs that don't come up very often.
One of the good things I think now, with cooking and chefs becoming more trendy, a lot of men are doing a lot more cooking. And I must admit, without my husband, I would probably be very much starved to death. He does all the cooking, buys all the food.
Who does the washing up after?
Who cleans up?
Dishwasher.
Yeah.
Yes. But he won't let me stack it because he's OCD about that, and
Yeah.
men have this thing with dishwashers.
Got to be stacked correctly.
What's that about, Stephen?
Because it's the only way they get properly clean, and then it's how you empty it afterwards.
Right.
And apparently you shouldn't anymore rinse off before you put in the dishwasher.
Oh, I never did.
Because that's wasting water.
Right.
Yeah. Never
Okay.
did.
It's a boy thing. It's
What
a boy
about
thing.
washing your pots before you put them in the dishwasher? What's the
Yes,
point of
it's
that?
Like cleaning up before the cleaner comes.
Absolutely.
Well, look, we are out of time. Dawn, Emma, thank you both very much indeed. Good to see you.